Welcome to Heat Check. We're going to look at the top 10 highest selling vintage denim items over the last 2 weeks on eBay. This video is sponsored by WeBuyOldJeans.com. All right, at number 10, we have the unworn Deadstock 1950s 191Z gel denim dungarees. Let's take a look at these. These are really nice. I've actually owned a pair similar to this. This is like essentially like a, let's take a look at the back so you can see. It's like a carpenter pant almost with these extra pockets. Let's see if it gives us a better shot of the back. They don't really give us a better shot. It's just the front side so you can see the angled pockets here, and then they show a few more pockets. Let's see, like right here and right there. But these are really cool. The 191s basically just didn't change for many decades, so sometimes this can get sort of lost in exactly how old these are. But these certainly look like they're from the 50s to me. Beautiful dead stock condition, Lee. You're not going to find them like this very often. Beautiful condition. This one sold for $999. Then at number 9, we have these Levi's 501s. They say these are from the 1950s, 60s. They're not from the 50s, and the price sort of indicates that as well. But you can take a look here. Let's take a look at some photos. A decent size 33 by 29 is good. Good size for sure. See right there, you have the big E. There's some lemon sort of looking threads. The Jackron patch there, center loops. Let's take a look. But you can see here, right here on the back side, no hidden rivets, but there is a V-stitch, which suggests to me that these are from the late 60s. But either way, they look like they're in pretty good condition, all things considered. Maybe a few small defects. I don't know. Yeah, it's a small little hole there or something. But these went for $1,026. Then we have our first Levi's denim jacket. This one's we don't see that often. This is the Levi's 559 XX, which is basically just their Type 3 that's lined from the 60s. It's got the blanket lining, which makes it the 559. It has a Troy blanket lining. That was the brand and company they used for the blanket lining. Big E and everything. We've talked at length about the 558 before, seeing those go for a lot of money these days. This is probably not nearly as popular just because it's such a more heavier duty jacket. But this one looks like it's in fantastic condition. They are hard to come by. Like this condition, these were often worn pretty well because the blanket lining would start wearing out. They were worn in the winter, so harsher conditions in general. So this one looks beautiful. And after 13 bids, it sold for $11.25. All right, then up next is admittedly not denim. No, then the next item is admittedly not denim, but it's denim canvas adjacent. It's this vintage Hamilton Carhartt 1930s bandana advertising. This is just a bandana. This is what's crazy about it. You can see about here it says Carhartt gloves, says Carhartt trousers, Carhartt New York City, Detroit, and Toronto, and Carhartt overalls. And then you have the Union-made Carhartt emblem that was used in the 30s. But this one is beautiful. This is an incredible piece, pretty rare piece of Carhartt history here. So this is really exceptional. It's not denim, at least I don't think it is. It doesn't appear to be denim, it's just a bandana, but very rare, hard to come by. Definitely a incredible collector's piece, and that's why after 11 bids, this one also went for $1,125. Such a cool piece to see here. So if you think you have a pair of jeans that might end up on this list, we recommend you check out WeBuyOldJeans.com. These guys are the best in the business. They can give you appraisals, they can help you with research, or they can make an offer on your jeans. They offer reasonable prices and great customer service. So we highly recommend our friends over at WeBuyOldJeans.com. Then next up, we get back to sort of plain old. We have some at 1960s, probably if anything late 60s. Let's take a look. Big E. Let's see if some of the other details are there. I don't see the hidden rivets. I don't even see a V stitch, so this could be very late 70s. Oh no, there we go. This is going to indicate that this is probably from 71 to 72 era It's kind of hard to see if there's any date code there, but that stamp is definitely what that indicates. But either way, these did all right. There are a lot of color, a lot of blue still left in this pair of jeans. Looks like an exceptional pair of jeans. And it did sell also for, after 24 bids, for $1,125. Now Lee is making a wave here. We're got a lot more Lee than we normally do here. We have the Lee Ryder Men's 101Z. Let's take a look at this. 1950s selvage. Look at the color on this. Beautiful. Then you have that single-sided exposed selvage that Lee was known for around that time. The beautiful patch, leather patch. Lee, just the Lee on the black there with those cross-banded stitching. This thing looks like practically new. Look, this still has a button on the crotch. That's pretty cool. Does not? That was sort of a bygone era. There's the gripper zipper. Yeah, everything on this says 50s. It's beautiful, incredible piece. It looks like some stitching coming up on that, but that's all right. You can live with that. With such an incredible piece, almost dead stock. This one actually went for just $5 less than what they asked for at $12.45. Next up, we have an example in the power of Deadstock. We have these Deadstock Redline Levi's 501s. These are only from like 1980. You can see here 1980. But because they're dead stock, which that means they're shrink to fit and all that stuff, and they're a fantastic size, 33 by 36, these will go for significantly more than their counterparts that were used. This one sold for $1,800. Now following that, shortly we have another pair that looks like the exact same pair. I went back and forth about what to do and how to deal with this. I can't tell whether or not these were two different pairs or they used the same photos because the jeans were exactly the same. I don't really know. Really hard to tell using the confirmation system, but both of these appear to have sold 2 days apart and for the same price, which was what the price that they were asking for them. So I believe they're two separate pairs, but it's kind of hard to tell. So just be aware of that. But anyway, again, the power of dead stock. Even if it's dead stock from like the early 90s, you're still going to get a serious premium on shrink to fit Levi's denim. This one, again, also sold for $1,800. All right, next up at number 2, we have a really cool one. This one's a rare piece. Not because the Detroit jacket we see here is particularly rare, but this was a jacket made for the Tommy Boy record label. The staff of that record label got this jacket. You can see, I think the owner of it down here, it was a promotional only jacket issued to employees and key music industry folks in the US in the early 90s. And it looks like he was a lucky recipient of one of these jackets. Yeah, definitely a lucky recipient. Super cool embroidery on the back. Obviously, the Detroit jacket, just by itself from this era, would still go for a good amount of money. But having the provenance of being on such an important record label, see like the home of De La Soul, Queen Latifah, etc. That's like definitely a pretty cool piece, and you definitely want to have this if you're into hip hop collecting or wearing clothing. So this is super cool. At number 2, this one sold for $1,900. Then at number 1, we have a U.S. Army denim jumper from like the 1930 to 1946 era, apparently. Look at this clean piece right here. The square pockets that these military jumpers were known for. This thing looks like maybe it never saw any action, never saw anything, maybe a little bit of wear. It's not super uncommon that these were like found in Army surplus for a while, but this Army and military denim has definitely become more and more popular. It has graced the number 1 spot a few times now. But look at this, got those buttons down the chest. This is a cool little piece. It's kind of like it's like a smock, sort of like not super heavy denim. It's not quite a jacket, shirt jacket, if you will. But anyway, super cool. This one sold for 3 bids, after 3 bids, for $2,024.